Hello friends, in this video we'll be looking at how to create an animated text in Xamarin Forms, and we also see how we can add micro animation to our view. Alright, if this is your first time here on this channel, we'll show you how to create awesome mobile application. So consider subscribing so that you will not miss any future videos like this, and also click on that notification icon so that you'll be notified immediately we upload new content. And if you are a returning viewer and you're yet to subscribe, what are you waiting for? Subscribe now. Alright, so let's get started. So I have Visual Studio 2019 open here, and three things that I've done is the first thing is to update Xamarin Forms to the latest version, that's 4.8. So I have Xamarin Forms 4.8 here, and also the second thing I've done is the assets I'm going to use. I have four assets here that I'm going to use, so I already add this to the drawable folder. And the last thing that I've done is so that we can see our view as we are designing the page. We have the data to work with. So I have two properties in the code behind here, and I have a dummy data here showing that has four properties: the name, amount, color, and image. So, and I'm already sending the binary context of this page to this, and assigning the budget to get budget. That's this method here that is getting the budget. So there's nothing fancy here, it's just a list that we want to use to populate our view. Alright, so I'm going to run this now so that we can make use of auto reload as we continue to design our page. So what we want to do first is we're going to go to our main page, the XAML.cs, and what we're going to see on this page is the default XAML code that comes when you create a new project. So this is what we're going to have. So at this point, I'm going to remove this default view that we have here, the default XAML code. So I'm going to remove everything. I'm going to save. This will kick off here. All right. So I have that removed now. So I want to start with a grid. If you have been following me, you know that I love to have grid as my parent container, parent layout, and the grid is going to have some properties that I'm going to set. Three rows. That's the row definition, a background color of white, and a row spacing of 20. So you can see the color has changed. So right here, I want to create the first view in the first row, and that contains a stack layout that just has two texts here saying set up a monthly budget and the total budget. So if I save this, you can see this is what we have. And next, in the second row, I'm going to have a scroll view. So let's do a scroll view, and in this scroll view, I'm going to have a stack layout. But before that, I want this scroll view to be in the second row. So I'm going to set some properties for this scroll view. So I want it to be in the second row, vertical option. I want the rotation to be horizontal. I set the margin. I don't want the horizontal scroll. Alright, so right here I need a stack layout, and I'm going to use stack layout to display the list because it's what I'm trying to achieve is best used using the bindable using the stack layout. So this stack layout is going to be horizontal, and I'm going to set the bindable layout item source to budget. This budget is a property in our code behind here. You can see this is it. So we're going to have it like this. So the next thing we need to do is to set the item template for this stack layout. So we need to set the item template. The item template is very simple. It contains let's add a data template to this data template. So this is very simple. It contains a grid. So let me just show you what we have and just explain, because we still have the point where we want to get to. All right, so we have this. So the first thing that we have is the parent is a grid in the data template, and we are setting the tab gesture. We want to use the tab gesture. Then we have let me remove this so that we can see what we have gradually. So we have a parent grid, and we're setting the tab gesture. If I go to the definition of this, so that we don't forget, go to definition. So you want to generate a code for us. Okay, so I'm going to save this now. So let's see what we have. Having saved this, so saving this, we still don't have anything because there is something showing on this page. We've already set this visible property of this to false. So if I change this to true, we should be able to see something. Okay, so you can see that our items are coming gradually, but we need this to be off because we want to set this in code. So I'm going to undo this. So we have a background, we have a box view in the background, we call it the main ng. So I'm going to place the rest of the item here. So next we have a grid. Now in this grid we have a stack layout. Now looking at this grid has two columns. This stack layout is in the second column, and this box view and this image, they are in the first column. So normally you'll be expecting that I have this at the second part here, just after this. Normally you should expect something like this, but I am doing it the other way around because of the way let me save this first. So let's save this. So now you can see that we have our items. If I set this to true, let me show you what we have. Set this to true, so you can see that we have all the colors. And if I also set this stack layout that contains the details, I also set it to true. Let me set it to true and save. So you can see this is what we have. Now I already have this details at -40 on the x-axis. So if I change this to 0, you will see. So this is the normal thing that we want to get. And the reason why I put this to come before here is I want to have something that looks as if this text, if they are actually coming underneath this box view. So to do that, let me first of all change this back. So -40 on the x-axis, so you can see it's a little bit fade. Look, this is a kind of an overlay on top of it. Is the way you can see it very well. If I set this to about 70% opacity, that's a box view. This is a box view. If I set the 70% opacity, you can see that this is showing that it's on top. Now if I move this now and I move it to come before all other things here in this grid, right in this grid, just like I have it here. If I save this now, we can see that it's already this box view now, this particular one, this black, is on top of it. So I think I'm just going to leave it like this so that it can show exactly what I'm trying to get. All right, so two things we're going to do to correct here. Let's change this back to false, and also let's change this stack layout back to false. So we want, once we select an item, we want the details to come to we want to use a simple animation to slide the details out from underneath here. All right, so before we leave here, the next thing that we need at this point is to get we need a text that will be here that's showing the selected price. So I'm going to put that in a grid. It's going to be in the so this is the second row. So it's going to be in the third row. So I have a grid, and inside that grid, the only thing I have is a label, and the label has a span showing the $sign, and also having the amount right here. So if I save this, you should see this text here. So this is 0. This is binding to the selected amount, and the selected amount is our code behind here. This is the selected amount that we are binding it to. All right. So we have our view now. What we want to do now is to undo when this is clicked. We want to show details, and we want this text to animate. All right. So I'm going to stop this now. Let's go to the code behind, and I'm going to save this. So in this item tab, remember our item tab is on this grid, the parent grid in the data template. So you can see this is it. So when we tap on this grid, we want to undo the tap. All right. So right here, the first thing that we need to do is to get the grid that is tabbed. So we're going to have something like this. So the grid that is tabbed, we get it from the sender. Then now from that grid, we want to get a binding context as budget. So we get the item that is actually tabbed. Then we need the parent of that grid, which is a stack layout. So let me show you. So this is the grid. If you look at it, the parent is a stack layout. So this is the grid that is tabbed. So getting it from the objects, and the parent is a stack layout. All right. So one thing we want to do is anytime we click on that item, we want that item to come to view. So because we have a scroll view here as a parent, so the parent of this stack layout is a scroll view. So we can do something like this. So parent.parent, so this is the parent, which is the stack layout, and its own parent is a scroll view. I want to get the scroll to async, and want it to scroll to this grid that we have selected and make it visible. So that's what we're doing at that stage. All right. So the next thing I want to do is want to get all the children in this stack layout. I want to do something with there. So let's do for each. So for each item in parent dot children. So what we want to do is want to find the main background and the details view. So we already have a name for it. So this is the main background. Let me show you. This is the main background. That's the box view. You know it is false, so we want to show it. Then the details view is this stack layout. You can see the name details view. We want to also show that. So to do that, we have to first of all find both the background and the details view. So to do that, we're going to get it from the item. So for each, we are looping through item, find it by name, find this by name, and the details is also this. So once this is found, what we want to do is to hide. We want to hide. So we want to translate this back to minus 40. Anyone that is currently selected that's already shown, want it to come back to minus 40 here, and we want to set its visible property of any selected item to false. So go through so what we are doing here is that we want the code to go through all the items, find all this main BG and details view, and reset it back to their initial position. That is false, false, and this is minus 40, just like what we have here. You can see false, and this is minus 40. All right. So once we have done that, we now want to show the one that is selected. So what we can do is to find the one that is selected. So selected BG and the selected details outside here, just the same way, find the main BG and find the details view. And what we want to do, we want to set it to true, and also translate it on the x-axis. All right. So just like we did here, this is like the reverse of what we did. We are translating to minus 40 here. Here we're translating to 0. So let's save this now and run to see what we have. So this is the first micro animation that I want to do. That once this is selected, it's going to show the details for that selected item, and once another item is selected, that one goes back to the normal state, and this newly selected item is shown. Alright, so let's wait for this to load and see what we have. So we have this now. So let's see, we select one item, so you can see how this actually flies out. So let's take another one. So you can see the interaction. This is already as a collapse. If I do this again, you can see how it's coming out. If I select this, it's going to scroll to view. If I select this again, it's going to scroll back to view. So you can see that is our scroll to view working. So you can scroll to the next one and see this color is not very visible. So now the very first animation is working using the translate to from -40 to 0. And if I select this, you can see that one quickly went away. And then because the time is just 200, if you want to change, you want it to be very slow, you can change this time and await. You can also await this so that you can see the animation first before showing this next one. Alright, so the next thing is there is an amount for this. So this is 600. If I select this is 1350. So as we're selecting, we want this text here to animate based on the amount that is selected. So that's the next thing we're going to do. And to do that, what I'm going to do is to create a method called animate. So I can do just right after here. Let's just do animate text, and let's pass in the amount. So the amount that we want to pass in is actually coming from this selected item. That's the budget. So let's do selected item dot amount. So that is the amount that we are going to pass. So now this method is not currently existing. I'm going to do control period and generate the method. So we have the method generated here. I'm going to remove this. All right. So first thing, before we start our animation, the first thing let's add something here. We want to reset the selected amounts. We are binding. Let me just show you in our XAML. We are binding this to selected amount. So anytime there's a new selection, we want to change it back to 0. So let's just do selected amount equals 0f. All right, so we have that reset to 0. So next, let's look at our animation. We want to use a stop. We are going to make use of two things. We're going to make use of the stopwatch class and also the timer. So let's start. Let's save stopwatch equals new stopwatch, and just write immediately. Let's start the stopwatch. Let's just say stopwatch dot start. All right. Okay, so after this, we want to make use of the device dot start timer. So device dot start timer, and we want to set the time span for this. So we want this time span to be like 1/100th of a second. So that's just the time span. I've actually what to fiddle with this, and I see the one that works best from seconds. So you can pass in either 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, but we want this to be a fraction of seconds. So we want to be this fraction, 1/100th of a second, and we have that, and we want the method that we want to let's create an anonymous method here. That's the next thing. That's a function, the callback function, and that function will have something like this. We have to close this and it's a semicolon. All right. So this function, not every part return a value. All right. So the first thing we want to do is just to return this is going to return this function. If this is a timer that wants to repeat, so let's just say return true, because we want it to continue to tick. So we'll find a way to stop the timer once we are done. So the next thing we want to do is want to get the stopwatch, the elapsed time, the total seconds of the elapsed time, and create a fraction with it. So we're going to do something like this. Let me just copy. So we have double T equals stopwatch. We get the elapsed time, the total seconds, and we get the remainder, and we divide it by 500 milliseconds. So we're using, these are like milliseconds. So whatever we get here, we are converting into a fraction of milliseconds here. So this is the value now that we want to use to do the animation. So the next thing that I want to now do is to now set the value of the selected amount. So the selected amount, the way we're going to do it is we're going to get the minimum value of two values. So if the value is 650, if the selected amount is 650, this is going to be like a fraction. Like let's say we are starting from 1, 2, 3, so it's going to get the minimum value between 1 and 650. So that when it gets to 650, it's just going to stay at 650. So that's the idea. And so we're going to have something like this: selected amount equals mat.min. So we want to get the lowest part is this amount that's coming here, and the highest part, the other part is this T here. You're multiplying it by 10, and we're adding it to whatever is the current value of the selected amount. So that's what we are doing there. And the last thing I want to do is to check if the selected amount now, if it is greater than or equal to the amount, so the amount that we are passing in here, if this is greater than or equal to, so that means we've gotten to the maximum value, then we want to stop the timer, the stopwatch, and also stop the timer. Alright, so let's run this and see the result that we get. So let's see how this is going to look. This is currently running. Alright, so you can see we have it all at the default state. If I select an item, so you can see the text animating, and once it gets to 650, it stops. If I select the next one, it starts all over again, and by the time it gets to 1000 and 1350, it stops. If I select this, and gets to 170, it stops. When it gets to 750, it stops. So that is how you can create. You can see the micro animations here. You can see the animated text down here. Alright, so that's it, guys. Thanks for watching this video. If you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to like this. It helps with the algorithm, and it helps to show this to more people. And also share on social media, Facebook, share on Twitter, share on all platforms. And if you're here to subscribe, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification icon. And if you have any question, and if there's any suggestion on things that you want me to talk about next, you can drop a comment in the comment section below. I'll be there to respond to all your comments. Thank you very much, and I will see you in the next video.